Hey everyone, Bernie Jaroslow with Whitmix here. Welcome to Whitmix Quick Takes, where we chat with industry leaders, dentists, lab technicians, manufacturers, suppliers, pretty much everyone, experts and movers and shakers in the industry, to see how they're getting along during this crisis and what they think our post-crisis industry is going to look like, because we're all going to be there. So we all want to know. So today I have with me Sasha Der Avanessian, who is the CEO and founder of Harvest Dental Products, probably known to many of you. Sasha, welcome. Great to see you, my friend.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it, Bernie.
My pleasure. How are you? How are you with the family? Everybody healthy and happy and all that?
Everybody's healthy, happy. All the kids are home. I've got 4 kids, 12, 10, 8, and 1.5. So it's a full house. But you know, it's been good. It's been good. It's been a good time to kind of allow the dust to settle and then do a nice clean sweep of the dust that you find. So
that's a great way to look at this. It's a very positive way to look at this.
Been
a
good.
A lot of people don't have quite that attitude about it. So that's nice, refreshing to hear. So, Sash, what's happening with Harvest? Give us an idea. I talked to labs. I know what's happening with labs, but not really sure what's happening with suppliers. What about you? What's going on?
Sure. So we're open. Obviously, skeleton crew from an operation standpoint, I would, put it in the way of maybe a boat idling through a marina. So obviously we've had to scale down in manufacturing and distribution, but our full leadership team is intact, and we are still being aggressive, staying on the offense. The only difference is that our organizational motives have changed. Our objectives have changed. From external growth to internal growth, and so we're looking at ways to optimize internal value so that we can be faster in delivering external value.
Nice. So you've worked out different systems then.
Correct.
That's great.
Yeah, we're looking for. There's a lot of stuff. Ultimately, it's about rebuilding the company. Harvest is a startup again, and so it's.
Go ahead.
No, it's tapping back into a blue ocean mentality, and without any preconceived notions of what we were doing well before. This is a whole new ballgame.
What do you think your customers will see as far as changes that you've made to the business? What do you think they'll see?
Energy and clarity. We are, in a sense, rebranding from the ground up. We are not going into this the same way that we left it. And I see this as the great reset, right? And, for every laboratory and every supplier, there's never been a greater opportunity to reset your organization, to reset the pillars of the organization. If I could start Harvest Dental over again, knowing what I know now, what would it look like? I'm currently answering that question.
Wow.
Right now is a time for creativity. It's not a time for sitting idle. Becoming intimate with my business again. I lost control of a lot of areas of my business as it's grown. Starting in a 2-car garage in 2004, we haven't had a year that wasn't, in double-digit growth. And every 3 years, I have to blow it up and start over. And so you never really get an opportunity to set things in place for aggressive organic growth. It's defining, and understanding the organizational assets, right? Those parts of the value chain, that create value, optimizing those areas. It's also a time it's also a time to look for organizational debt, the areas of the business, the processes, the structures of the business that don't add value to the organization, that are legacy processes, right? That just kind of are there. There's never been a better time to reset our culture, your culture, their culture. Culture to me is something that becomes easily neglected in times of hustle and bustle. And so, getting back to, understanding our culture and redefining that, putting the communication strategies in place to communicate that to our internal teams and also to the customer base. Ultimately, the goal of every company should be one that the customer actually knows and not knows of. And so culture is the real element there, right? That becomes active. And so I'm actually writing an ebook now on culture, and basically just reverse engineering my steps as we start from zero and rebuild the building blocks of our culture from the ground up.
Yeah, culture is the nucleus of the business. There's no doubt about it. Good for you. That sounds great. So we don't worry about harvest because of your leadership, but what will happen to our customers? What will happen to labs? I mean, I'm not asking you to show me your crystal ball, but what do you think is going to, or our industry is going to look like once this crisis resolves itself and we're back at work? Do you see changes happening? I'm sure there's going to be changes, but what do you see?
Well, I believe that the industry is going to be 25% smaller. I believe that unfortunately some laboratories will close. I believe that that others will divest, and so consolidation, I think, will the speed of consolidation will increase. I also believe that some laboratory owners will retire. This is a good time for them to say, you know what, I don't have the energy to do this again. I'm just going to retire. I think that right now, look, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It depends on where your mindset is and where your focus is. The fact that Harvest Dental is going to be a 25% smaller company really doesn't factor into the truth. And the truth is that if you're not deploying innovation, right, you're going to be in trouble. And so as entrepreneurs, our job is to create. It's not to sell. We create value and sales come on, and as a result of that. And so what this, I believe, will do will actually, I think that it will, speed up innovation. And to be honest, my focus isn't even technical innovation. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about behavioral innovation. I'm talking about creating value propositions, creating new categories of value that don't exist. At the end of the day, what we are going to see is, I believe, a speeding up of the race to the bottom. I think that that price is going to play a major part in trying to acquire customers. I think that laboratories are going to be looking at, everything is on the table at this point, right? Their suppliers are on the table along with the suppliers' competitors. So, all of us are on a table right now. Emotional decisions don't make room for an alternative. And so I believe the key is to build true value propositions that the customer can't afford to lose. And for the most part, that is going to be outside of what we do, and it is going to be more valuable than what we make.
Understood. I like that philosophy. Very good. Well, the labs are the middle rung in this picture because, really, if patients don't get back to the dentist the way they've been,
Right.
and if the dentist isn't getting work, the labs don't get work. If the labs don't get work, the suppliers don't get sales,
Right.
and all that. And I understand what you're trying to do to increase sales from what they would have been when we will eventually get to that point where we're back in business. But I wonder what you think will happen in the dental arena, the clinical arena. Do you think we'll see a big problem with patients returning? I know there's some considerations for people who are not in the dental world. All they see is their mouth open and a lot of sprays, and who knows what in the dental office. It's a little bit scary, very medical to some. So, what do you think? What do you think will happen? Will we see somewhat of a limited return initially? What do you think?
Bernie, I think we're dealing with a two-edged sword here. Again, I think that 25% drop in market size obviously is driven by the consumer. The first side of that sword is that our business is built on those that are currently at risk with COVID-19, right? 60 years plus. And so I think that we have to take into consideration that we are developing phobic habitual behaviors. And so that does create, I think, a barrier, to going to the dental office mentally. And so I think that we're dealing with that. I also think that, a lot of people have lost their retirement in that age group. The market has definitely taken a dump. And so, those that were maybe, scheduling some work are probably not in a position to go forward. The other flip side of that is those that, our industry is also built on those that are seeking aesthetic makeovers. And those people have potentially lost their jobs. So, a $20,000 grill doesn't really make much sense. And so I think that there will be a large majority of not, I mean, when I say large, I mean, again, when you just take that 25%, you bulk it all together. That's what I'm predicting. And I don't have a crystal ball, and I could be wrong. But I think that a lot of those people are going to cancel those appointments. And so, and that's why I think there's still going to be a ton of business. But, laboratories are going to have to get real creative. You can't innovate a crown, and real, the question has to be, for me, I'll start with myself. Does the market need my products? Does it really need my products? The answer is no, it doesn't. And so who then does it need? It needs me. And I think laboratories need to take a very similar approach, right? The market does not need your crown. It needs you. And so, you better start activating the thumbprint, because that ultimately makes your laboratory as unique as you are. I think if labs do that, I think that 25% in market, devaluation shouldn't matter. But growing market share should.
So, having said that, if we were to close with a message from you to our industry, to our laboratory brethren, what would that message be? What would the message be as we're opening back up, as the market starts to come back? What do you have to say to our labs?
Sure. Well, I think that, again, the saying goes, right, you are what you eat. And I think that people need to start eating positivity. They need to start eating encouragement. I think that there needs to be an infusion of clarity in their organization starting right now, not waiting until the doors open. Because, as the market rolls out of bed, you need to be in a vortex of velocity and energy. And so there's never been a greater time to grab attention. The asset of attention is going to be incredibly valuable in this time. For your teams, your leaders, you know, again, creating clarity and energy, right? Clarity around the vision, right? And maybe you need to reconstruct your vision. Maybe you need to define it for the really for the first time. You know, why does your laboratory exist outside of yourself? And then, you know, creating energy towards that purpose. You know, your people need leadership right now. You know, you should be communicating to your furloughed employees. They should be on an update, weekly update on the things that you're dreaming about, the things that you can't wait to initiate. They need to feel leadership. They need to experience leadership. You know, even if it's a 5-minute phone call, whatever it is, communicate with your team. And, you know, I think if you can create clarity around your vision and you can create energy around your purpose, you will be ready to deploy that purpose. You know, and ultimately, you know, with that energy, getting the attention and then honoring people for the attention that you're given.
I love that message. That's just fantastic. It's positivity and inclusivity. It's what will make the difference between those who barely make it and those who thrive in the future, I'm sure. Boy, loved it. Thank you, Sasha. I really appreciate hearing your insights as always, and also seeing you, my friend. It's been a while, and who knows with trade shows how much longer it's going to be before we all actually see each other in person. So thank you again. I appreciate your time. I know everybody's going to enjoy this chat, and we'll be seeing you. We'll be talking to you too.
Bernie, it's always good to see you, man. Take care. Be safe.
You too. Take care.
Be in touch. Bye-bye.